Well, good day, folks. Welcome to the MB Wildman channel. On today's video, we're talking dog proofs. Okay, so we're talking about maintenance a little bit, and we're talking about what to do at the end of the season, or what to do when you get dog proof traps and you're not really sure where they've been or what they've been up to or whatever. So, the inspiration for this video came. Elliot and I have been doing a little bit of trapping, and we had a dog proof that we used in the water, and we caught a pile of raccoons not too long ago. Did some nuisance work for a local farmer here, and we caught some raccoons out of the brook. We were catching them, one a night. We only really had the one dog proof trap that we liked. It was a Duke trap, and I bought it a little while back. I wasn't really a big dog proof guy. Had some different models, but the Duke one we really liked. And then, of course, not too long ago, we set it and we lost it. So I don't know whether something broke it off, whether something took it. We went down to where we had set it. I don't think someone stole it because there was a piece of wire that I had tied it off with that was broken. So I'm assuming that we got something big in it and it just twisted the wire off. Now maybe I should have checked just to see if the wire was still strong or whatever, but I didn't do that, and that's my own fault. But anyway, we lost the trap. So we were kind of, Elliot and I were like, oh man, that worked out so well for us. So of course I went looking to see where we could replace the traps from, and I tried Dakota Line, where I get a lot of my trapping stuff from Dakota, but Dakota Line's not doing sales anymore to the average everyday person. They only are going to sell now to retailers or whatever, so I'm all done doing business with them. So anyway, I just put the kind of message out there on Facebook with a local couple of groups I'm in and asked when we had some. So lo and behold, I get a guy from Nova Scotia who sells me 13 Duke coon cuffs, just exactly like the ones I had, except a couple 3 years old. So they're all real strong, they're all real good, but they're all real different, okay? So they're not taken care of the way that I would typically take care of stuff. So here's what they look like when they arrive to me. Some of them are rusty, some of them are like greasy, and they smell like whatever might have been in them for bait the last time or whatever. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with these traps, don't get me wrong. And I got a good deal on them, so I'm not bent out of shape. But I want to show you a video today on how to put these back into condition that I would like to use them in, or that you might want to use them out on your line, okay? Because you don't want to put them out in the woods like this. You want to make sure that they're taken care of. You want to make sure that you've got them cleaned up enough and in good enough shape that they're going to go out and they're going to be really useful on your line. So stick with me here today on the channel, and we're going to show you what I do, especially with traps like this that I don't really know where they came from. They could have been wax, maybe not. They could have been used paste bait or whatever bait. I don't know what they've been used for bait, and I don't know how long they've been sitting in the guy's garage. So I'm going to go through and show you what I do with traps, especially dog proofs, to get them ready and tuned up for the next season. Listen, if you haven't yet subscribed to the MB Wildman channel, we sure would appreciate it. We're shooting hard for that 10,000 subscriber mark, and hopefully we'll be there by the end of the year. So we got a couple of months left. We have about 8,000 subscribers. So if you like the content, please subscribe. If you got friends, neighbors, relatives, people you can bribe or pay off, or anybody that'll do what you say, go ahead and get them to subscribe too. We'd appreciate it. As always, questions, comments are welcome. So, let me know what you do with your dog proofs in the off season to get them ready to go. So stick with us, and we're going to get our dog proofs ready to go. Okay, so you got your traps here, and all you're gonna do next is grab whatever you use to boil traps, big pot, whatever. This is kind of the one I use for a lot of the videos I do, but just a big pot, whatever you want to use, and just lay your dog proofs in here. Make sure you've got enough room. Make sure you've got enough room in the pot so that you can get all your dog proofs in, and then be able to fill it up, and still have some room at the top. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add a kind of degreaser, and it bubbles a bit, so you don't want it to bubble over. But anyway, just pop your traps in here. Just like that. Okay, so got them all in the bucket. The other thing that I use, you don't have to use this, but I use Arm & Hammer. Now this is So Clean Fresh laundry detergent. Okay, this is the best degreaser that I have found for any type of oily substance. If you get bacon grease in your traps or anything like this that's been waxed. If it has been waxed or whatever, and you want to start fresh and start clean again, I use this right here. It's great. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to add probably, you know, maybe 2 capfuls, because this is going to be pretty full. So I'm going to add 2 capfuls of this Arm & Hammer laundry detergent. Now it is scented, okay? So you're going to think to yourself, you're dumping, you know, scented laundry detergent in your traps. How can that be good? Well, I wouldn't do this for like leg hold traps for coyotes or whatever. But for dog proofs, you can see, or you'll be able to see when I'm all done why it doesn't make any difference. And for the most part, raccoons aren't super duper, you know, smell specific. They're not trap shy. I mean, they eat garbage. They go everywhere, right? So I'm not worried too much about scent for raccoons, but I am worried about just degreasing these and getting them all cleaned up and make sure they all work really well. So 2 capfuls of my Arm & Hammer laundry detergent. Then I'm just going to fill this baby up with water. Here we go. All filled up with water, and a few little bubbles here when you fill it up, but not a big deal. So once that reaches a boil, I'm going to time it. I'm going to boil these traps for 60 minutes. We're all boiled up, and as you can see on the top here, there's a real thin layer, right? So you got some dirt, some grease, right? Some junk on the top of the water. What we'll do, or what I'm about to do, I'm going to shut the heat off, and then I'm going to give this a real quick stir, and I'm going to pull stuff out without, you know, as much as I can without getting it through that junk that's on the top. Sometimes I can sift some water off the top, but this time I can't. Looks like I should have used a little more water, but anyway, so after that, once we pull them all out, I'm just going to hang them up. I just use these fur hangers, and I'm just going to hang them up to dry. And then I'll show you the last step that I do to get these babies ready to go. Just got them hanging here to dry now, and as you can see, right, they've been dyed before, most of these ones, but they're all that's pretty much gone now. You got some light rust on there, and they're super clean now on the inside. Okay, so that degreaser really helps. You can look, I don't know if you can see right in there with the light the way it is, but those are all cleaned out. There's nothing down there to gum up the triggers or anything like that. Everything's free, right? Everything's working good. Okay, so we'll just leave those there to dry for just a minute. I want to show you in the bottom of the pot. You can see there's a bunch of gunk. I don't know how well you can see that, but I'll try to get it in the light here. But there's a bunch of stuff that it didn't look like there was much in those traps, but I've already poured some off, and just a bunch of bits and pieces of bait and all kinds of different stuff that was in there. So a good idea to get your dog proofs boiled up and degreased. Okay, so what I like to do now that my dog proofs are all dry, I spray paint my dog proofs to get them ready to go, and I use kind of a special different paint. This is my little setup. I just have a little piece of cedar with a pretty good crack in it, and I just tap that dog proof down into it, and that's just to hold it, right? It gives me access to the chain, gives me access to the dog proof trap, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spray paint one for you and show you what they look like here. The paint that I use is a little bit different. This is a Krylon paint, but I make sure I buy the stuff that's the chalky finish. When you check this out when it's done, the paint itself is just a little bit textured. It's a little bit rough. It's not shiny at all. It's a dull finish. They call it, like I said, they call it chalky finish. And the color I really like to use on dog proofs is called mink. Now I know that's funny for a trapper, right? That you're using a color called mink, but I don't like particularly the brown as much as I like this color. I don't know if you can see the cap. It's kind of a gray, brown, it's a light color, and it's got a really great finish to it for these dog proofs. So I'll spray one up and show you, and then you can kind of decide for yourself what you like. I do try to be just a little bit light on the side with the trigger and the spring. It doesn't really affect it a whole lot, but what I basically want is I want the body of the trap. I also don't worry a whole lot about getting the chain all the way. Just basically the part that's going to be sticking up or shown, right, is what I want to look at. And I don't spray it heavy. I stay way back, and I give it just a light coating, okay, from way, I don't want to be right up close to it. I don't want drips and things like that, okay? Right, so I can do this real easy. Spin it around. I've got access to everything, right, which is just sitting up in the log, so no big deal. But the finish of this this chalk finish is great. It's really, it's really similar to when you buy new Duke, like when you buy them brand new, right? And they've got that kind of that brown spray on them. But so that's pretty much it. I don't spray down in there. Once I figure I've got it all, let's make sure that's a little bit loose. And then I'm going to pull that out by the chain, and I'm going to hang that upside down to dry. Okay, so there's what you've got. That's that mink. This is that mink color, almost a brownish gray. I love it. It blends right in the woods, and I've had great success, using this color. So I haven't in the past used a whole lot of dog proofs, but man, I'm getting into it now. Elliot and I are loving these dog proof straps. So there's one that's all set, right, and ready to go. Everything still moves easy. That little fine mist of spray paint won't affect the spring at all. And once that baby dries, it's ready to go in the woods. So that spray paint too, once it dries, will take the scent of the degreaser and all that off of it. And I'll hang this, like I say, I just make sure I do this, at least a couple of weeks maybe before season starts. And that way, any smell from the paint or whatever has a chance to go away. But again, raccoons aren't super sensitive about smells, so I'm okay to spray paint them. Anyway, there they are, right? So I'm going to do up those other 12, and then I'm going to have 13 dog proofs ready to go out on the line. Anyway, listen, I hope this is something that can help you out, and just a real good little lesson on how to clean up your dog proofs and get them ready to go for the season. I'm sure people do it different, and feel free to comment down below if you got a different or better suggestion for me. But anyway, until next time, happy hunting from the MB Wildman channel.